The Canadiens snapped a 6-game losing streak with a 7-5 win over the Sabres Monday afternoon in Buffalo. How big was that win for the team morale? We'll talk about that and much more on this week's Hockey Inside Out show. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Gazette's weekly Hockey Inside Out show. I'm Stu Cowan of the Gazette, and I'm joined by my regular partners here, former Canadiens teammates and Stanley Cup champions from 1986, Chris Nilan and Rick Green. So, Knuckles, big win by the Canadiens Monday in Buffalo. Just how big was it for team morale moving forward?
I imagine it's some relief for those guys. You know, losing wears on you. It's easy to get down. It's easy to feel sorry for yourself. And, you know, to be able to cap it off with a win. Now, you still gave up 5 goals. A win's a win. But when you talk about winning hockey, they're not going to win a lot of games like that, right? They're just not. And certainly with the goaltending, they've been getting not good goaltending that game. Not a good look. But, you know, they persevered. They stuck with it. It was nice to see Josh Anderson get a breakaway and actually bury it, not hit the goalie. So good on him. You know, he looked like he had good legs. I got to see more of that from him. Slavkovsky looked like the guy we saw at the end of last year. There were a lot of positives. And again, I'd like to maybe talk about those more than the negatives because, you know, a lot of the same things are happening defensively with this team. But it was nice to see them persevere and get through it. And, yeah, a big victory. It can't help but give those guys a couple days reprieve from losing.
Mm-hmm. For me, I don't know if it affected the team morale, but it sure affected some individuals' morale as far as, you know, showing up after the disastrous effort they had in Toronto. I mean, not to mention Slavkovsky, great to see him, perform the way he was performing. He looked good, notched 3 points. It was very effective. Suzuki, I guess he figured that he had to be a lot better, and he definitely did show up and did his thing, along with Caulfield and even Doc with a couple points. So, yes, you can take some positives from the standpoint that maybe that's going to give them a little boost of confidence moving forward. But, they still struggled with a lot of areas away from the puck that needs to be addressed. And, until they get those areas straightened out, they're going to continue to give up a lot of goals against, and a lot of unnecessary chances by just thinking offense only and forgetting about their defense responsibilities.
Yeah, Slavkovsky looked like he woke up. He almost looked like he'd been sulking since he got taken off the number 1 line. We'll talk about the line matchups a little later in the show. But Rick, you've been a player and an assistant coach. Is it more of a relief as a player or as a coach when you get a win like that than the losing streak?
Well, I mean, look, I've said before, it's not always the wins and losses, even though they hadn't won in 6 games. You really, as coaches, have to dissect just their overall game and what they're doing and not doing. And, they've struggled to score goals. They managed to get that done, more efficiently against Buffalo, but away from the puck, they still struggle. So you really, you can take a little bit of a breath knowing that you did get the win, which is, feels good, but, how you play and how you perform and how certain guys are doing what they should be doing and not doing is a concern of the coaches, and they're going to continue to pound away at trying to find a way for these guys to get their act going each and every night, and they have a challenge in Minnesota.
I know a few of the current and former Habs went to Toronto after the game in Buffalo for Shea Weber's Hall of Fame induction. Congratulations to him. Canadiens could look like they could probably use him on the blue line the way things are going. Knuckles, how much of the blame? I mean, they only gave up 1 high danger scoring chance against Buffalo. Cayden Primeau let in 5 goals on 14 shots. How much of the blame for the Canadiens allowing the most goals in the NHL, more than 4 per game, is on the 2 goalies, and how much is on the team in front of them?
Listen, it's always a team thing. It's a coach and his team, okay? Now, their system, whatever it is, defensively, I don't get it. I don't get it because it's not working. What I will say, sure, the goalies have a big part in that. But, the youth of this team and the direction of this team defensively, I don't think they understand what they're supposed to be doing. We see Matheson getting caught a lot. He's always on the strong side, on the weak side, not on the strong side of defending. He's always taking high risks and leaving his goaltender and the other 4 guys exposed in a lot of ways. So, I look back the year we were best in the league. I think it was Patrick's second year in goals against. Remember that game, last game of the year in New York, and we went in there and just shut them down. Listen, we had Patrick Waugh, but he was still a young goaltender, okay? But we had a defense and a system that didn't allow second chance opportunities. Our defense were unbelievable at clearing pucks. There were any rebounds. Patrick ate a lot, but if there was a rebound, it was out of there in 2 seconds. We defended really well, and it wasn't long after that we learned that if we defend well, we can win hockey games. We end up winning the Stanley Cup the following year. Hello, and I just think it's everybody. It's the coach, forwards, defensemen, and the goaltenders. But the goaltenders, unfortunately, get exposed when there's a lot of weakness in front of them.
I know, Rick, you've been concerned about Matheson also, right, from what you've seen recently?
Well, he's the kind of guy that obviously wants to be part of the offense no matter what the situation looks like. And there's a lot of high-risk situations that he's on the offensive side of things. It doesn't concern himself with playing defense. And those are areas that you have to be better at if you want to, keep the puck out of your net. And I don't mean solely him. I mean as a group. And these defensemen hopefully are going to get better and understanding their responsibilities, where they should be. And I don't see that happening. And I see it in the way that their structure is, that they're getting themselves on the wrong side of plays or jumping in on they're forechecking sometimes when they should be forechecking. And that's the system that they want to use. Any rims around the boards, the defense are automatically going to go pinch, which is fine, providing that the forward is going to cover for them. But sometimes they take that chance that the forward is covering, but he's not in a position to cover for them. So they're playing a high risk type of play, inside the offensive blue line that results in odd man chances. But let's face it, there's the years of having Price and Patrick Waugh, all those years where those guys were standing on their head and pucks were hitting them. They don't have those type of goaltenders. So unless the goalies are the first star each and every night by standing on their head because they give way too many, grade A chances, they're not going to win. And I don't care, what you say is the bottom line of all this is you got to defend better and you have to leave good scoring chances down or break them down to the minimal rather than giving the number that they're giving overall to date. So they have a lot of work to do in that department, and hopefully they're working at it because it's going to continue to slide and be ugly to watch in their defensive zone coverage.
Knuckles, how demoralizing is it though when you have a game against Buffalo, when you do it, you only give up that one high danger scoring chance and your goalie can't make a save? Like how much does that demoralize you on the bench? Like,
yeah, I mean, there were times when Patrick wasn't in there that, you would see the backup goaltender maybe letting a goal that Patrick most likely would have had. And it would be like, it does. Guy like, the whole bench knows, he should have had that one. And it can be, but again, in the situation we were in, we knew that, we were going to persevere and get through something like that. But when you have a fragile team like this, a weak team defensively, a young team, yeah, it can be devastating for them, and we've seen it. We've seen it. How many games this year over 5 goals?
It's 10 out of 16. They're 4 or more in 10 out of the first 16.
You cannot. I don't care.
Hard to win,
you
right?
cannot win hockey games that way. It isn't. This isn't street hockey or roller hockey. It's the NHL, and man, hopefully they can figure it out.
And in all honesty, I love to see forwards being responsible defensively, which some can be, but I don't like to see time and time again the responsibility of a forward knowing how to play defense in front of the net, which way too much opportunity for opposition to have a lot of freedom in front of the net because you have a forward and you got both D on the wrong side of the play that should be in front of the net or closer to the front of the net to eliminate primetime scoring chances, and it's tough to watch.
Michel Therrien used to say, you need to score 3 goals to win a game. Habs are giving up 4 a game, so even scoring 3 goals ain't going to be enough to win. I mean, Rick, you probably had some nights in Washington when you were looking back at the goalie and saying, "Stop the puck."
Just about every night, and and that's why. I learned how to play defense,
and that's why half the team became born again Christians.
Yeah, well, we tried anything. I didn't jump on board for that one. I was too busy trying to figure out how I'm going to get the puck out of the zone, by shooting it off the glass, which was our breakout play. But anyways, yeah, it's a part of the game that can be taught. It's defensive structure can be taught, and one thing that I learned a long time ago: the information that you give the players, they have to see it work in order for them to buy it. And if you don't give them the right information and it continues to fail, you're in trouble.
Well, I've said it before on the show. I like Cayden Primeau as a kid, nice kid, but he was a 7th round pick. I think we're seeing reasons why. This season, he's got a 1-2-1 record. 4.67 goals against average, 845 save percentage. For his career in 51 games, 12-23-7, 3.63 goals against average, 887 save percentage. Knuckles, do you think at what point do you send him down? I know Kent Hughes didn't want to do it last season because he thought he was going to lose him on waivers, but if the team, the goal is to be in the mix this season for a playoffs, and they got 2 goalies in Laval playing well. Jacob Dobes is 4-1-0, 2.42 goals against average, 908 save percentage. Connor Hughes, 5-1-0, 1.99 goals against average, 931 save percentage. At what point do you just have you seen it?
I think this is the point. To be honest with you, I cannot see those numbers getting better with this goalie. I don't care what team he's on. He every game he's been in, he's looked suspect at times in the game. He looks like he loses his net sometimes. He sometimes overplays, angle shots. He slides beyond his crease. I've seen him a couple times get turned around. He's looking at the goal judge. Hello. It might seem harsh, but I just don't see him as an NHL goaltender, really. Certainly a competent backup. That's what I think they were hoping they got from this guy, a competent backup. And he's certainly not there with those numbers. And again, the team in front of him is not playing well defensively. Do I still think he could do it if he had a better team in front of him? Maybe he'd look a little bit better, but he hasn't given me the confidence to say, oh, for sure, this guy. Now, do you bring up a guy from the minor league? Listen, I can tell you one thing. Pascal Vincent has that team playing better defensively right now down there, and that helps those goalies. But they're putting up them kind of numbers. What are they, 9-2 down there?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I mean, at what point do you try and trade them? But how many guys are going to go for a goaltender with numbers like that?
I mean, I wondered last season if somebody would claim him on waivers when Ken Hughes, obviously his information said somebody would, but like now, like is anybody going to claim, especially because you got to keep him on the NHL roster, right? If you claim him, I don't know.
Yeah, and his inconsistency is, has been his biggest knock. It's not the saves that he makes; it's the ones that he lets in, and he finds a way to not make the save when he should be making the save, and the result is what we see: not getting the job done. And I'm wondering how long this is going to go without shaking up a few of their personnel. And the conversations that are going on, I'm sure in the coaches' room, would be quite interesting in, okay, where do we try and make improvements if we can? Do we do it internally, or are we looking for help outside? And I'm sure that if I was a fly on the wall, there'd be some interesting topics of discussion going on right now. And I'm hoping so, because for them to continue on this way is not exactly the right way.
The decision to keep 3 goalies last season didn't help Montembeault, Jake Allen, or Cayden Primeau, right? The way things worked out. And Marty St. Louis made some other changes in Buffalo, switching up his lines a little bit. He's got Suzuki between Dach and Slafkovsky, and Evans between Newhook and Caulfield. Knuckles, do you like those combinations?
They worked in Buffalo. We'll see. They got to listen. It takes time for players when they get together as a line to gel together and get used to each other. Maybe it's a way of getting Kirby, Dach going, hopefully. Suzuki and Slav. It's a big line, right? Couple of big guys on the wings. Maybe, and we saw it produced there. There's no question it did in Buffalo. Does that mean it's going to happen again next game? No, but let's see. Let's see it again. And, Caulfield and the second group, they look pretty good. And again, I like to – one game, it's great. But I want to see that consistency, especially from the big players, the big, like playing well. Not just, okay, I got an assist, I got 2 assists, but playing well. Doesn't mean always because you get points, you're playing well. I've seen this all season long so far. And, Slafkovsky's a big man. If he is not moving his feet, forget about it. He's not going to do anything. Big men have to move their feet. If they're standing around spreading their legs, they're done. They're done. Line A, coming across the blue line, spread his legs. What happened? He's done. Got to move your feet.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at the players knew it was on them, and Martin St. Louis was trying to push the right buttons by changing their lines up to get the guys going. And you can talk about positive results. They got some guys that contributed offensively, which was why he made the changes. But let's see in the long term, next game and the next game, to see if they can establish some consistency in getting the job done, in producing something that they're supposed to produce. And time will tell.
My concern with the lines, I like Jake Evans. He's been one of their best players since the start of training camp. But if he's your number 2 center, Knuckles, they're back to, it looks like Slafkovsky, Dach and Newhook are going to be wingers, or at least they are now, and they were acquired to give them depth down the middle. And now you got Jake Evans as the number 2 center. How concerned are you with that?
Listen, it's nice to see him get rewarded. The kid's been busting his ass all season, right? He's been trying. He's been a kind of a bright spot. And if they didn't have him, so it's nice to see him get rewarded instead of continuing to reward guys who haven't done shit. And it's nice. So still, if that's the best you got, hello, it's the best you got. They're weak up the middle. And I still believe Nick Suzuki is the number 1 center here. But in a lot of teams, he'd be a great number 2 center. And some nights he looks like a number 1, and other nights he looks like a number 2.
Yeah. What do you thought about Jake Evans this year, Rick?
Well, look he's a hard-working guy. Skill-wise, would I slot him in as a number 2 centerman? No. But they're trying to give him the reward of playing well, working hard, and, showing example. But, the major problem is he doesn't have that much skill set. Mind you, he's with two pretty good, Caulfield anyways. I'm a little more concerned with Newhook as far as his ability to bring it each and every night. But there's a problem in secondary scoring, and if you put Jake Evans there, as your second line centerman, things are not going exactly what I would think are the right way.
Good point you make, though, Knuckles, about him being rewarded, because I know him and Brendan Gallagher are really close, and Gallagher's been a real bright spot this season. They ride together to practice every day in Brossard, and ask Gallagher, he's thrilled to see Evans get that champ. Evans might be a forward you would actually trust, Rick. Would you trust Rick Evans?
Well, here's a kid that I think understands what his role is and knows how he needs to play to stay in the league. And, that's show up every night, be responsible, be good in the face-off circle, and bring some of those ingredients that are needed to have success. And, you can't fault him in any game for not trying. And, they're trying to, St. Louis trying to say, this is the kind of stuff that we like to see more of. And he's given the kid a chance to.
And Greeny said earlier, if I'm going to be totally honest with you, and he starts talking about forwards, you want to be honest about forwards, be honest about the defensemen too. All right there? And turnstile. Turnstile. That's it.
The only reason why they make
put your stick out, back up.
The only reason why the defensemen
you're going to be honest.
The only reason their defensemen get exposed because they hope that the forward was going to cover for them. So, bottom line.
Rick, did you trust Knuckles
when
you're on the ice with him?
Actually, usually he was in the penalty box, so I didn't get a chance to play with him that much.
Well, on that note, we'll wrap up this week's
quickly.
Hockey
He didn't get a chance to play with me that much because I was always out against the best players on the other team. He wasn't.
That makes you feel better.
Rick? Any response, Rick?
No, that's a mic drop right there. Forget it.
Yeah. If he feels better, let him run.
That's the truth.
If
I'm being truthful,
they would know that he was with two other pretty good guys that made him.
They helped me. I helped them.
Well, there you go. We'll make that the mic drop then, Knuckles. That's it for this week's Hockey Inside Out show. We'll be back with a new show next week. In the meantime, please make sure you like and subscribe to the Hockey Inside Out YouTube channel. Go to MontrealGazette.com/newsletters to sign up for the Hockey Inside Out newsletter. And of course, you can go to HockeyInsideOut.com where you'll get all the latest Canadiens news every day. Also, please leave your comments on the show in the comment section below. We always like to hear from you. We'll talk to you again next week.